You mentioned in your book how your moment where you wanted to leave TRT was a situation where they were criticizing David Webb, and I know David Webb. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I disagree with him, but he's definitely a nice individual. But you also say that progressives are pretending to be colorblind. But like a page earlier, you say that they're obsessed with immutable skin characteristics or immutable characteristics like skin color. So are they pretending to be colorblind, or are they loudly talking about race? Because those two things don't seem to go together.
They completely go together. They're obsessed because they're obsessed with race while pretending that everyone else is obsessed with race. So in other words, the reason I mentioned the David Webb story in the book, David, I'll just briefly recap it for those that haven't read it. I was on air at the Young Turks, and I think David was hosting a show on Fox News. He might have been guest hosting Hannity, if I'm not mistaken, but he was on Fox News. Mm-hmm. And he's David, who I'm good friends with because I had a show on Sirius XM for years. I met him in the hallway one day. I was on the left at the time, he was on the right, but I would go on his show once a week. We'd debate stuff, and then we'd go downstairs to Del Frisco's and have a steak and have some whiskey. And we became good friends, and we're good friends many years later. So we're watching this video of him on Fox. And suddenly all of these people who call everyone else racist, who say that they're the anti-racist, they don't care about skin color, they don't care about sexuality, they don't care about gender, they're for diversity, they're open and tolerant. They see this black guy saying some stuff that they don't like, and they're calling him an Uncle Tom and a whole bunch of awful stuff. And because I know David personally, and I know he is a good man, I don't agree with him on everything, but I know he's a forthright man who says what he believes, takes positions that are deeply unpopular to take as a black man, but does it and fights for what he believes. And I know what a good man he is. It was just so starkly obvious to me at that moment who the racists were. The racists were not David Webb. The racists were the people who say that they're the anti-racists, but then when a black man says something they don't like, they get to call him a sellout and an Uncle Tom and a bunch of stuff that's worse than that. That actually is sort of the I would say the new modern racism of the left. So they pretend that they're not racist while actually they're the ones that are pushing racism on everything, which, by the way, we're seeing at every facet of society right now.
Well, here's the thing. I think that, well, I guess we have a different understanding of what colorblind means. Colorblind means that they don't see race. And I'm saying that they do see race. I think one of the arguments would be that colorblindness, that the right oftentimes talks about having a colorblind society. The left actually doesn't talk about that because they don't think the problem is recognition of race. It's what you do when you recognize race, which is to discriminate against people, or to think of them as being less intelligent, or to think of them as being less than for some reason. It's not the recognition of race that is the problem. But at any rate,
that goes slightly to the difference between, a system being racist versus just individual racists. There's always going to be a certain amount of people that don't like people because of the color of their skin, or they have a different religion or a different sexuality or some of that stuff. That's human nature, and it's always going to exist. The best thing that we can do is we want to teach people that those are bad ideas. You want to show people that we're all made of the same stuff, and you don't have to agree with someone, but they're not automatically evil or bad because of some sort of immutable characteristic. Of course, I can get on board that. I can say that since I've now, let's say, shifted to the right, or whatever you want to call it, every single conservative event that I have ever been to, libertarian event that I have ever been to, I have never once, period, heard anyone say anything racist or homophobic or anything else. That's not to say that there aren't individual people in those crowds at those events that hold some belief like that. But I don't see any mainstream person on the right that wants to have different laws be based on color of skin, that wants even gay marriage. Look how quickly that one they moved on that one. It's over now. Trump ran pro-gay marriage as a first-term president, first time ever in American history.